Hello, this video today is going to try to correct some of the common problems that you have with your documents in class. Let's just start at the top of this essay that we have by Joe Student and correct some of the errors that might be occurring in the APA formatting as well as some other kinds of errors. First off, you can see that Joe Student has a heading here on the left side of his paper. However, it is not double spaced and it is not complete. So it should say Joe Student. It's always your name, then my name, then the class name, and the date. So in this case, we'll just put Comp 2 and we'll put PM if it's the evening class, or you could put AM if it's my morning class. This needs to be double spaced, so I'm going to highlight it. I'm then going to go to the line spacing icon up here in your Word toolbar, and you can see that this is where it can give us the option of double spacing if we need to do that ever in a document. We just click on the 2.0, meaning double spacing. This button becomes very important as we work through different APA problems. We could also see that with this essay, the font is not consistent. This particular title is in Arial 14 point and is in bold. All of the font needs to be the same in APA formatting, so we don't care if it's Arial or New Times Roman, Calibri. We don't care about which of those kinds of basic boring fonts you use, but it does need to be all 12 point and non-bold. So there's some rare exceptions to that as we go through APA, but for the most part that's the general rule to follow. So we have the heading correct, we have the title correct, and just a word on titles. I love this title, Capital Punishment is Dead Wrong. It is a creative title. It's more than just the topic of the paper, so it's more than just capital punishment. It's also more than just the assignment name like persuasive essay. It does have a creative title to it, personal and creative. So that is great as well. We could also see on this essay that there's too much space between paragraphs. We simply can hit our delete button and delete away space. This is something I don't worry too much about, but just in case some of you would like to know, you could see that this is all double spaced, but as it gets to the next paragraph, there is an additional space that is here, and in this case we can remove the space after the paragraph, and that brings that up to making just a totally pure double spaced document. This paragraph also has been indented too far in. The standard indent in Word is 5 spaces, so you could kind of see all that needs to line up as well. Back to this heading, we could see that it is also not matching the font that we selected for this document, which is Arial. Arial does give you a little more space taken up with Arial. Arial, in other words, is a larger font as opposed to New Times Roman, but so if you ever have a professor that says you have to have 2 full pages and does not indicate the font type, Arial is a little bigger font than New Times Roman. However, APA, strictly speaking, is New Times Roman. I don't care for my class which font you use. The other thing that we need to work on with this document is that there are no page numbers going on. How we insert a page number in APA is the Insert up in the Word tab here. Insert, page number, go to the options that are at the top of the page, and it's usually number 3. It's the plain number. What I do then, since it's APA, is that we put the title of the essay. This is what APA requires. It also requires still, if you're going, and I don't notice this that much in my class, but technically APA does want this to also be the same size font and same font as the rest of the page. So I make that Arial 12 as well, and I have a little space between the title and the number 1. But doing this as a heading, as a header, then you can see it's a slightly lighter shade of black. It then continues on the second, third, fourth, fifth, etc. pages, and that is perfect. Um, this heading, and I'm going a little out of order, I know, but this heading right here is a heading, not a header. You do not want this heading to appear on the second page, just the title and the page number that you just did in the header for the page numbers. So proceeding on page 2 of the document, just for the purposes of this class, what I usually ask is that when you take information from a source that you put that information in red. This of course is not APA. It is just for the purposes of our class that I know and you know when you vary from your own exact words to something that's paraphrased or quoted. It also gives us a real key to what to look for this to make sure that everything is accurate in the time when you make a quotation or you paraphrase. For the most part, the best thing to do in APA formatting is to paraphrase, putting things totally in your own words. But if you do use a quote, something word for word from a document, you do need to lead into it with words of your own. And there are some errors here that we could fix. According to the American Civil Liberties Union, and this parentheses does not need to be here, there is no credible evidence, etc. But it is a quote, it looks like, but it does not have the quotation marks at the end of it. So we make sure that that's occurred. Then we have the information within the parentheses that indicates that this is a source, and this material then in its expanded form is on the reference page, and I make sure that that has happened when I grade. This information in the parentheses is usually the author's name, then the year, then the page number. But if we don't have an author's name, we then go to the next available item, which in this case is the title of this article, and it does have the quotation marks around it. This article evidently did not have a page number, so we don't have that. But these quotations that are here need to be eliminated. They needed to be at this place at the end of this sentence. And I'm assuming that this is a word for word copy paste from this article. Likewise, it could very well have been a paraphrase information. It could have started even the same way, according to the American Civil Liberties Union, and then, oops, they have ACLU. I see why they had that. ACLU is in parentheses because it's explaining this. This could have very well been paraphrased information. This citation would have been the same. The only change would have been if it's your own words, it would not have had quotation marks around it. So that's fine. Either way, and like I say, for the most part, you're paraphrasing, not quoting. Then the essay continues on. This time here we have a paraphrased information because there's no quotation marks around it. We have an error here. One of the errors that we see commonly with people new to APA is they put this period in the wrong place. It does not belong here. It belongs outside the parentheses. As you can see above here, it is outside the parentheses. That is always the case. Again, we have this correct, assuming that there is no page number to this article, because if there were, we'd have comma, then the page number of whatever this article was. But if we don't have a page number, since we're dealing with an internet site, which a lot of times don't have page numbers, then it is fine this way. But these two things, more evidence against the death penalty and ACLU capital punishment, those are also referred to on the reference page. So when we get to the reference page, those are mentioned. That is accurate. If there's anything ever in the essay that is not mentioned in the reference page, that is incorrect. Likewise, if there's anything on the reference page that's not mentioned in the document, then that needs to be corrected as well. The reference page matches exactly what you've referred to in your essays. So this has a page 3. We'll just assume that that's all correct. And then when we get to the references page, we need to look at a few of the errors that are here as well. For example, we need to make sure that references is indeed the top line here. So I'm just going to scooch that up a little bit. So I just deleted some space to move this title references page, which is incorrect, but to move that up. Technically in APA it is just references. It doesn't matter if you even have one down here, it is always references with the S. So this is correct. Now we have a problem with these two entries that we have used as our sources. The main problem is not the spacing or the font or anything like that. It is the fact that this APA calls for the second and third lines to be indented. So we have these probably from a copy paste from a virtual library database, or maybe these came from the internet and were created in a place like Nightsite. But regardless, these things are two entries and they need to be having the second, third, fourth, if need be, lines indented. So I'm going to highlight the first entry. Again, I'm going back up to the line spacing option here, and I go to line spacing options, and these indentations and spacings are usually at 0. They need to be. Sometimes they get off, and then you'll notice that in your document, and those could need to all go back to 0. But to make these second and third lines indented, we simply go to hanging, and it always goes to the 0.5, and then when we click OK, you can see that that jumps it over. If you do it any other way, it'll drive you crazy. So this is the easiest way, just highlighting this, going to line spacing options, and under special, hit hanging, it goes to 0.5, we hit OK, and then we have it. So then this is a corrected references page. This is being highlighted, asking that I make a correction here, which is slight, but I make that space over. So these are the entries that are made either for you in some places of our virtual library, or these are copy and pasted from places like Nightsite. Again, as you make that copy paste, you're aware that all the font needs to match and everything needs to be indented exactly like this. But this is then a complete paper that's 3 pages there. It's all correct with its header, that is the page numbers, a proper heading, a good title, the internal documentation, whether it's a quote or whether it's a paraphrase, is all properly done. There's a references page, all properly done. Then this is an A paper.